Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I will, first of all, I'm very happy of being here, and it was a great collaboration with the University of Macerata. Even if it happened in a very strange time, this time of COVID, but we were able to work together with colleagues and with the students, so I'm very happy and very grateful for that. I will give you a short introduction to the topic. We are working with documents from the 16th and 17th century, and just to give you an idea of why we are interested in Jesuit and in Jesuit documents. And then I will spend a couple of words on the database and the project we have been working on with the students of the University of Macerata. So I will try to share my screen. And just, do you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, yes, we see it.
Very good, perfect, very good. So I'll try to be short, but then if you have questions, you can ask me later. Now, we are talking about a digital database, a project of digital humanities, as Professor Pavoni was saying, organized by the Roman Archive of the Society of Jesus, which is a fantastic place, one of the most important archives of early modern religious orders, and the Institute for Advanced Jesuit Studies at Boston College. We are interested in studying Jesuits for many reasons, but one of these reasons is that with many other scholars, we are working on a period that is called, historians have called this period the first globalization. They found many aspects in common between the time we are living in now, the globalization, and something that happened during the 1500 and the 1600. Many of these aspects, but we can summarize at least three pillars of this first globalization. A sort of geographic expansion of the world, what people call the Magellan Revolution, a religious change that was also a political and cultural change, the Lutheran Reformation, and a new way of looking at the earth and human beings in their relationship with the universe with the Copernican Revolution. These three changes happened in more or less in the same time and created what we could call today a cultural shock, a cultural revolution. The world started to be represented in a new way because people started to travel, and this is you see here the road map of Magellan and his 16th century trip all over the world. You see here the expansion of the Iberian empires that connected Europe with almost every corner of the world. You can see here one of the first representation of the world as a globe. So the idea of globalization. The world was conceived as one. You can see here a new map of the world is a 17th century, early 17th century map, and you can see, despite the mistakes, how precise, how, was the world as represented, as known at that time. And now the Society of Jesus, a religious order founded in 1540, is interesting because this group of men were participating to almost all these revolutions and changes that characterized the first globalization. Ignatius of Loyola is the founder, but then his brothers, his friends, were astronomers, and they participated in the Copernican revolution. Here you see Christopher Clavius, a very important astronomer. Some of the moon spots are called out of Jesuits because they were the astronomer who discovered them at that time. You can see here Ferdinand Verbiest, a great astronomer who went to China and started to have a dialogue, a conversation, a scientific conversation with Chinese people. And here you see Guy Consomagno, who is the actual of the Vatican Observatory and is a Jesuit, a tradition that continues today. Jesuits participated in the answer of the Catholic Church to the Lutheran Reformation. They were part of this conversation that was not only, as I was mentioning before, a religious conversation, but also a social, a cultural, a political conversation. And of course, Jesuits were travelers because of the desire to evangelize the world. Jesuits started to travel all over. Here you have a sort of summary, a screenshot of the most important Jesuit missions of the 16th century that continued during the 17th and the 18th. As you can see, all the corners of the world are covered. And here you see the travels of just one of them, a famous Jesuit, Francis Xavier. Went to India, went to Malacca, went to Japan, where he stayed for 3 years. And this was just an example of the fact that these people were traveling all over the world and conceiving their mission as a global one. Here you have one of the beautiful images in which, with which the Society of Jesus, Jesuits, were representing themselves. The idea is one globe is not enough. We need more than one. We need two. Just to an image to represent the extent of their geographical horizon, the extent of the places where they wanted to go. And of course, we have famous Jesuits like Matteo Ricci, which is very important for the city of Macerata, who was at the same time a missionary, a writer, a sinologist, and a scientist, and who went to China and encountered the Chinese culture. Here you can see one of his most important enterprises, a world map with all the names of places written in Chinese. And there are 4 or 5 versions of this map, and was a way to communicate this new idea of the world. The world is great, the world is huge, and we want to go everywhere to spread the gospel, but also to spread a new knowledge. We are working on letters written by Jesuits who were fascinated, like we are fascinated, by the desire to go everywhere in the world, and asked their superior in Rome to be sent to Japan, to China, to South America, to North America, to be sent to these missions. The name of this letter comes from Latin, is littera Indipetae. It means the letters of the people who requested to be sent to the Indies. The Indies are, in the language of the time, every place outside Europe. One of the important things is that we have about 16,000 of these letters. So you should imagine 16,000 of requests of people who wanted to go outside Europe in a time in which traveling outside Europe meant to travel forever, to be outside, to be far from home forever. There was one-way ticket. And they're all collected, preserved at the Central Archive, the Roman Archive of the Society of Jesus, where we can see them when we took pictures of them and we are able to work on them. Here you have a classic letter. In the back, you have the address. You have some notes from the Secretary of the Society of Jesus, who was preserving the letter. And here you have the front of the letter. In this case, is one of the few letters that is written in the blood of the applicant. It's a Spanish Jesuit who wrote, "No me cansaré en derramar mi sangre en el papel. I will not get tired of spilling my blood on paper." Using blood because he wanted to show that he was ready to give his life, to give his blood. Letters are letters of people requesting to be sent outside Europe to evangelize the world. But at the same time, these documents are very rich because they have 2 goals together in the same letter. One is the administration of missions. When you have thousands of people and you have to send these people all over the world, you need a precise document in which you know all the of this person, the curriculum of studies, some physical features, how is this person in terms of personality, will this person be able to adapt to different climates, to different places, is good with languages. On the other side, there are spiritual documents because the applicants are writing about themselves. They want to show their superior that the desire to live for the missions is not a superficial desire. It's just it's something that is so deep that comes from God. And in order to do that, they were talking about themselves. So those are kind of short biographies. They talk about their body, their health. They talk about their family and what is the family situation. They talk about the destinations, where they want to go, what do they know about Japan. So as you can see, we have thousands and thousands of microbiographies of people who are talking about themselves, about their knowledge, about the way in which they were living, and about their dreams and their desires for a new world, for a new life. It's something unique, something that is difficult to imagine. Something is really a great surprise to have these letters. And of course, these letters are inserted in a huge network of other letters, because then parents were complaining because they didn't want their sons to leave for these very dangerous places, and that the spiritual director was supporting them. And so we can reconstruct, we can follow through these letters the lives of these people. Now, what is interesting is that in the last few years, we realized that these letters were written for a very long period. At the beginning, we thought these letters are written during the 16th, 17th century, maybe the 18th century. But then recently, we realized that these letters have been written until the 1960s. So you have to imagine something that was written between the 1560s and the 1960s. And the number is just more than 16,000 as we thought, but it goes up to about 22 to 24,000 letters. They're very stable over time. And so we can see during these 400 years, the evolution, the changes in the language, the changing in the way in which people were talking about themselves. So you can imagine, people can work and study these letters from different perspectives, from, using different approaches, from the history of psychology to the history of emotion, the history of language. It's a very rich, it's a very rich letter. I will say a few words about what we are doing with students, and then I'll try to show you the database if the screen sharing allows me to do so. In order to work on this huge number of letters, we are using this a model that we call crowdsourcing plus. It's not the normal crowdsourcing in which you have everyone able to jump in and contribute, but we are basically targeting our contributors and trying to find people for working on this letter can be interesting and can be useful. And in sort of, in this sort of pyramid, you can see that there are faculty and scholars all over the world interested in working on these letters because they can give a contribution in our understanding of the past from different perspectives. We have PhD and master students working on these letters. Days ago, in the State University in Milan, a student discussed a dissertation on linguistics in this letter, trying to show the evolution of the language. We have university students, undergraduates, and we will see in a few minutes what did we do with the students in Macerata. But also we have high school teachers and high school students who are interested in working on these letters, because through these letters, we think that these letters are a sort of entry door to early modern history in a very familiar way. So we have about 300 high school students who are working on these letters, and they're basically reading letters written by people of their age who 400 years ago were expressing their desire to live a great life and to be citizens of the world in a way that is probably very different with many similarities. And so students are very engaged and are connected with these people of the past. So all these people are working together. We have now about 450 people working with us on this project. And the University of Macerata was the first one, and is the pioneer institution in introducing the use of this letter at the undergraduate level with university students, with a lab that we have been in the past few months, and maybe later Dr. Pavone, and then we have some students, we have some of the collaborators online that can say something about that. I will just show you, and please tell me if I'm able to do that. I want to do the database. The database is already online, and I just show you what we can do. We have about 1,000 letters on the database right now, so not a huge number, but yet a number that is enough for understanding how it works. Now you have to imagine this database full with these 24,000 letters. As you can see, we can search the letters through different keywords, names, the sender, the recipient, the model of saints and missionaries that are quoted, or other important names, the places. So where are these letters coming from, where are they going, and what are the destinations that they request, the dates, and then other details that I won't describe right now. But the first thing I want to do is to look into the models of saints and missionaries, because, for instance, we can look at one of the most famous of them, who is Francis Xavier. So we are searching now all the letters where Francis Xavier is quoted. And as you can see, we have 173 letters in which the applicant is quoting somehow Francis Xavier as a model, the sort of inspirational model for his desire for mission. If you remember, I showed you the map of the trips of Francis Xavier. So he was for sure one of the most important and one of the most celebrated missionaries in the early modern period. Now we look at one of these letters. I want to show you this one by Giannini Antonio. Is a letter written in the early 19th century. When you open the database, you have the complete text, the transcription of the letters, and the back. You can also open the letter in a PDF format. But then one of the most beautiful things is that you can open the picture, the image of the letter, and so you can see what is written. This is Italian, so people on this call in Italian can see what's going on, and you can see that the name of Francis Xavier appears here. In this way, everyone will be able to read or print the letter, and at the same time to go and check the original of the letter. Second thing I would like to show you is about places. Now we can see the destinations requested, and we choose China. China was very popular among Italians in particular, but in general was a very fascinating search. We have 148 people who wanted to go to China. And what we can do here is through this left bar, we can filter the letters in many different. We can see when they wrote the letter, in terms of month, in terms of year, where are these letters from. As you can see, there are many letters from Naples and Rome, Palermo, Turin, the institutions where they come from, the names quoted, and for Italians on the call, you can see immediately Luigi Tapparelli, D'Azeglio, who is the brother of a famous Italian politician, Antonio Bresciani, who is a famous Italian intellectual. And see why these people are quoted, and so are many aspects of political and social life. And then you can see all the places. People who wanted to go to China also wanted to go to Japan, America, the East Indies, Brazil, Persia, Paraguay, and so on and so forth. So this is what we can do in terms of the field. We can do 1 million things with this database. The last thing I want to show you, because is very interesting for the period in which we are right now, I will show you some letters from Palermo. So Sicily was a very important place because many people were writing many letters. People from Sicily tended to write many letters. And I want to show you a letter from Palermo. There are many, written in 1837. 1837 was an important year because there was cholera in Palermo. So they were living a time very similar to our time. And when you open the letter, there are references to the cholera, but some references are also on the actual letter. As you can probably see, there is a stamp here. This stamp says in Italian, netta dentro e fuori, cleaned inside and outside. This was a way in which they were kind of purifying letters through the fire. And in this way, they thought that cholera was not able to be transmitted through the letters. This is just to show that when you have a source, a rich source like this one, you can do different searches, and you can use it for many different kind of history. Not only religious history, which seems to be the most important, but any kind of history. And I stop there. Maybe if there are questions, and also because we have other people online who can provide with some different perspectives on this project.